Alright, welcome back, you beautiful souls. This is the premiere of a new series. First I wanted to say I apologize. I woke up late, so I wasn't able to get everything. I barely had enough time to get ready, like shower, eat, and then get to work. So I posted, I made a community poll where you beautiful souls voted for Shadow Monarch. This story will be what if Izuku was a monarch, which the theme of it is the solo leveling. So, a little bit of setup before we get into the story. Like some other YouTubers have done, Izuku, the world that this Izuku lives in, has hunters and quirks. most most hunters have quirks and also hunter abilities, but there's less than one, in this world, less like 90 less than 90% of the population has some kind of power, either it being a quirk or it being hunter related, or them being awakeners. So only 10% of the population are normal human beings. Just putting that out there. So about 10% of the population are purely or about 10% are purely hunters, and then about 20% of the population of the world are hunters and also have quirks. So that being said, let's cut to our story. Our story actually begins in a dark place. There's 10 there actually didn't write this number down, so I have to think about it. There's 6 figures that their appearance is irrelevant. They're voting on who will get to choose this one. And they finally settle on it. And the one figure cloaked in darkness stands up. I deserve the right for this because all of you have had your chance. It's my turn now. Very well, says Oliver. Do what you will. But know this. Whatever you do, they better be strong. And all of the figures disappear, including the figure cloaked in darkness. Now, I don't have any messages. I didn't create a thumbnail for this because part 0 because if I did, it would kind of ruin what it is. So I'm just using the stock photo for solo leveling. So please do go support the person who created solo leveling. Amazing manga, which is what most of this is, where this is derived from and gains inspiration from. So now we cut to an Izuku. He's about 7 years old. He's been told he's quirkless. He's the youngest awakener to exist. He has that going for him. But unfortunately, he belongs to a hidden class, but his power is F, like the weakest that you could possibly be. The only awakener ability he has is just the average increased endurance, regenerative powers, and his special ability is something that a few of you have voted on. About 4 of you actually participated in this poll on Discord. Voted for Soul Sense, and Soul Sense is just is that. Like, you can, within a 2 meter radius of the person, Izuku can sense the intent of someone without fail. So lying to him is pretty much, but it's weak. It's not like you know exactly what they're doing. He can tell if they have malicious intent or if they aren't a threat. And unfortunately, this Izuku, he decides to take a nosedive off the building. He's constantly bullied. He's the weakest hunter. He's always told he's never going to amount to something. And unfortunately, Izuku, he takes a nosedive off of the building. And everyone is mortified. You just hear a loud splat. People are screaming and everything. So, that being said, now we cut to a scene that is about 20 years in the future. There's Izuku. He's standing on top of the building, and he's just looking down on the city that he's in. And he says, I've come a long way. Who would have ever thought that taking that nosedive off the building was the greatest thing in the world that I could have ever done? Well, this is my story. So, now, I apologize about, this going back and forth and time jumping, but many of you that have finished solo leveling would understand certain themes and nuances for this series. This is just how it starts out. So, we cut to about when Izuku is about 5 years old. He's at the quirk doctor, and they tell him he's quirkless. But Miss Midoriya, what was the quirk of the boy's father, and did he happen to be a hunter by any chance? And Inko is taken aback by this, and she's like, yeah, he was a hunter, and he disappeared. He went into a gate one day, and he unfortunately never returned. Well, we've ran additional tests to see if the boy could potentially be awakened. He has signs that he is an awakener, but usually their powers and stuff won't manifest until they're around 10. So, like I said at the beginning of the video, Izuku for 2 years after that will be bullied and eventually pushed to self-deletion. And so this is after Izuku has done the deed. He's just floating there in that ethereal manner. Days pass. He's seeing his mom, how sad she is. She's crying, at his funeral. And Izuku's like, no, I didn't want this. If I would have known, I would have never... No, what have I done? What have I done? What have I done? Oh, first you was dead. Then... what have I done? And then Izuku, he's startled. He feels someone grab his shoulder, and then he turns around and he's like, what the hell are you? Who are you? Are you a monster? I didn't mean to. And the figure's eyes are glowing, a crimson red, but there's also tinges of blue in it. And the figure speaks. It's cloaked in shadow. It's like, young man, why did you... Because I'm weak. I don't have the power to be a real hunter or even be a hero. I just wanted power. Just wanted more power than what I already had. Why do you want power, kid? Because I want to be a hero, someone that can save this world. And Izuku just sees a grin come across the Shadow's figure. Like, this person is cloaked in utter darkness, and he just sees, like, the crack of a smile in white, and the eyes just begin to, like, glow even brighter, like, more and more of a blue tinge. And he looks at the boy, and he's like, I have the power to grant your wish, but it'll be a rough ride. What you suffered the past 2 years will be worse. You'll experience things worse than what you have already done, young boy. Now. The figure throws his hand, and the scene of the scene of like his funeral is just disappears, and Izuku he sees 5 statues. And the shadowy figure. One moment, I've got to get some tea. Sorry about the interruption, but my throat was getting dry. I had to get some tea. Okay, now where were we? The funeral scene. Oh, yes, right there. Okay. So, like I said, Izuku saw his funeral disappear, and the guy, he's sitting there. This figure is completely cloaked in shadow, and then Izuku he just sees 5 statues of weird looking creatures, and he just hears the shadowy figure. Go to the one that's calling your soul. Go to it. Choose the path that you're willing. And Izuku, he doesn't quite understand what's happening, and he's looking at these statues. He sees 2 to the left that are cloaked in darkness, and then he sees 2 to the right that are cloaked in what seems like this blue light, and then he sees the one in the center that has like this swirl of energy wrapping around it. The two cloaked in darkness have weird appearances, and one has more of a emerald looking color with like an emerald looking shadow. The other one is complete in utter darkness, and it creeps him out. The center one, he feels peace, like balance coming off it. The one to its right, his left, is cloaked in light that's really hard to look at. And then to the far right of the center one, the other shadow, it's cloaked in this emerald light that's a little hard to look at. But then he just looks to the center statue's far left, and for some reason the one cloaked in an emerald shadow, he feels drawn to it. He approaches it. He as he's walking to it, he starts running to it, and he eventually runs up to it and touches it. And then he just hears the shadow. "This is the last time I'll do this for you, boy. Next time you die, you're dead." Izuku, he then wakes up in his room. And he's in a cold sweat. He's like, "What happened?" And he sees that it's morning time, and he's like, "Was that a dream?" But it just felt so real. As the day progresses, he starts having a sense of deja vu. Like, certain things have happened. Like when his mom gave him a kiss on his forehead in the morning when he left for school. And then Bakugo created an explosion kind of like behind him to like scare him. And then Bakugo tells him to go take a nosedive off the building. Maybe in his next life he'll be granted with more power than what he is. After all, you're Deku, the useless hunter. You're the weakest hunter ever. You don't even have a quirk, so you're double useless. As Izuku, he's sniffling. He's crying. He's sniffling, and he's standing up at the thing. And before he takes a step, he's like, "Wait, no. I can't put Mom through that. That dream last night. It wasn't real. I can't do that to Mom. She lost Dad, and if she lost me, it would kill her. No, I can't do that." And Izuku, he makes his way home. So Izuku, he makes his way home, and when he's get home, he's still kind of crying and everything. And so I'm gonna stop here. Awakeners, okay? Unless they're like A class or above, like if they awaken as A class or above, they can't start they can't start doing hunter jobs until they're about 12. And if some of you didn't get what I was saying at the beginning of the video, about 30% of the population are awakeners. 20 of that 30% also have quirks. And 10% of that 30% are quirkless, but they're awakeners. They're hunters. They've awakened a power that's not a quirk. Figured I'd clarify that for now. And Inko belongs to the 60% of the population that are quirked individuals. And Izuku's dad belonged to the 20% that had a quirk and were a hunter. So the Midoriya's in this. Inko does have a sizable amount of money left over from Hasashi's unfortunate death, or presumed death, plus what he was able to make. And Hasashi was of the mage class. So Izuku, when he gets home, he's wiping tears off his face, and Inko sees this, and she asks him, it's like, "I know, sweetie, and sweetie, I'm sorry. Maybe if my quirk was stronger, you would have been born with a quirk as well, and you would have been a higher ranked hunter. I'm sorry, baby." And Izuku says, "No, Mom, it's fine." And all day, Izuku's just been having, like, deja vu. And for the first time, this is... He's not feeling that. And he's up in his room. He spends the whole night watching hero videos. He comes across a new video, and he says, "Oh my god, oh my..." Like, so, in this world, All Might also belong... Well, before us viewers know he wasn't born with a quirk. In this, he wasn't born with a quirk, but he still has one for all. But like Hasashi, he like the world views him like Hasashi. He belongs to that 20% that has a quirk and are a hunter. Though All Might, his power as a hunter would be that of a B rank, but he doesn't really do dungeons. He's more gone towards, like, the hero route, because in this world you can either be a hunter or a hero, and each one has its certain privileges and advantages. Hunters are regulated by the government like quirks, but they have more leniency on their power, because they basically are on the forefront of closing these gates. Now, people with quirks, like say Endeavor, for example, he is a hero, but he also helps close gates, like minor gates. I would say, if you're not a hunter, but if you have a strong enough quirk, you could fight in D and below ranked dungeons, like D, E, and F ranked dungeons. Like, no problem. But it's dangerous. So most people who aren't hunters, who don't have that added, like, better than a normal human regenerative abilities, you're taking a chance with their life of dying in these things. So most people don't go in if they're not a hunter. Though the appeal for money does draw some people, and a lot of people do die in these things because of that. So, that being said, I'm sorry about all this backwash, but I realized I skipped a good section of my notes on this. So, Izuku this night, he's sitting there. He didn't actually realize. He didn't actually realize, like, this timer in the bottom left of his field of vision, like a timer in the bottom left of his field of vision. He didn't notice this because of the sense of deja vu and everything that was going on. He was just looking around. He's like, didn't all this happen? So he's watching all these videos, and he comes across a video of his favorite hero, All Might. And it shows All Might rushing in to a gate, and then a few moments later he comes out and the gate's closed, and people are praising him for dealing with it, dealing with the gate so fast. Now, since My Hero Academia is more advanced in technology than, say, Sun Jin Woo's world, at least from what I can see, My Hero Academia, like, Sun Jin Woo's world kind of takes place around the same era as us, but they're a little bit more technologically advanced, so they're probably about 15 to 30 years ahead of us, as far as time period. So My Hero Academia is still about 150 years after that. Now, gates started opening up about 15 years before Izuku was born. So they've been able to develop technology to kind of draw gates away from more densely populated areas. Kind of like, God, I can't think of that manga. And they've made a anime about of it, and it's really good. But basically, they can't stop them from opening, but they're able to draw them away from like hugely densely populated areas, unless they're like unless they're like above a B, unless they're like B rank and above. They can't control those, but like the minor ones, they can kind of keep them away from like the like more densely populated areas, which is why the upper gates are really um heavily monitored, like these like the densely populated areas. So that being said, he spends the whole night just watching all these videos, and then he notices that the morning that the sun's coming up, and then he just sees something in his field of vision that causes him to scream a little bit. And it says failure to complete daily quest. Moving to penalty zone in 3, 2, 1. And Inko, she comes running into Izuku's room, and she starts freaking out like Izuku's missing, like he's gone. He's there's no trace of him in his room. So she calls up the police. They come in. They're looking around his room and everything, and they have one officer sit with Inko while like the other ones, because if a villain attacked or if this was a gate, they want to make sure that civilians are safe. And the officer that stays behind, his hunter class is kind of irrelevant, but he is a hunter. So they are in a fairly not so much densely populated area. So if a monster comes out, he would be able to handle it. So Izuku, he just like after his eyes kind of clear, because the area he appeared into is just super bright, and he just sees a desert, and then he sees the screen pop up. Survive 2 hours. Failure to do so will result in death. Izuku, he doesn't understand, but then this sandworm, this worm snake weird hybrid thing comes out of the sand. If any of you have seen the movie Beetlejuice, you know, like the sandworms, it's a little bit like that, but more snake-like, more serpentine-like. Comes out, and it kind of hits Izuku. He goes flying off into the distance, and he's like, ow, 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 ow. And he's really, really hurt. Like, his arm is like broken, and he's like, oh crap. So Izuku, he spends like the next 2 hours avoiding these damn things. And when all of a sudden he appears back in his room, like the timer comes down, quest completion. You have survived 2 hours in penalty zone, transporting back to prior location. And Izuku, he pops up back into his room. And the police officer and Inko are downstairs, and they just hear this loud thump, like this loud double thump, like up in Izuku's room. They go running in, and they just see like a bunch of sand around Izuku, and they see Izuku laying there on the ground, like in a small puddle of blood. And Inko freaks out. The police officer like immediately calls for an ambulance and says the missing boy appeared in his room and he's hurt. We need an ambulance here ASAP. So they get Izuku to the hospital, and Izuku, he's passed out for a few hours, and when he awakens, he notices that his arm is in a bit of a cast, and he sees like a couple of police officers standing there, like talking to his mom with like doctors, and he kind of overhears them like, "Ma'am, are you sure your son is an F-rank hunter? He's healing a lot faster than what he should for an F-rank hunter." "I don't know, but he was acting weird all day yesterday. From what the teacher called me and asked if he was doing okay. We recently lost his father several months ago." And then they notice Izuku's up, and they kind of stop talking about what they did. And the doctor walks over to Izuku and asks, like, how is he feeling? Basically checking his eyes, doing like the whole thing, and having Izuku follow like the edge of a pen with his eyes to make sure he was okay. And then the officers that were there, one of them approaches him, and the officer has a special badge on him, and Izuku notices it, and it's the Hunters Association Police Force. Basically, these individuals are some of the more active hunters that don't really go into dungeons, but they kind of help control the hunter population, make sure that they don't go overboard and use their abilities in public to cause a lot of damage. Sorry about this. I'm getting a knockout. Okay, so the officer approached. So the officer is from the Hunter Association Police Force. Basically, every police department has a high-ranking officer that is a hunter that deals with cases of hunters misusing like their hunter abilities in public, and if they need to, they are authorized to actually take these individuals down, like kill them, take them down if they get too far out of hand, which is why the Hunter Association and the Hero Association have come to a working relationship. The two organizations don't really meld well for obvious reasons, but the Hunters Association is more of the extra-worldly protectors. The Hero Association deals more with petty crime and dealing with quirked individuals. Now, hunters have kind of thrown a chink in that chain, but they have been able to come to a way of how to operate in the world. So the officer begins to ask Izuku a bunch of questions, and then Izuku's like, I don't know what happened. I got transported to this desert area, and then I reappeared in my room. I don't know what happened. And they say, well, kid, you should probably, whatever happened, you should probably try to avoid that. It seems pretty dangerous, and you had a punctured lung, and your whole left side was completely shattered, like a lot of bones in your body. If you want to hunt, even though you're an F-rank hunter, the fact that you're a hunter is the only reason why you survived the operations. And Izuku, then sees his mom. And then the officer says, well then, everyone clear the room. I'm pretty sure Ms. Midori wants some time with her son. And he turns to the doctor. You can come in. You can come until explain what's going on in an hour or so. Give them some space. So, as the officer's walking out, okay, never mind. I'll retcon the officer's name. We're just gonna call him Smith for now. Inka reaches over and grabs Smith's arm. She's like, Smith, thank you. Ever since Asashi disappeared or died, you've always helped us, especially when Izuku first awakened. Thank you. And so Smith, he looks at Inko, and then he just kind of smiles and nods and pulls his partner out and kind of shoving the doctor and the nurse out of the room too. Inko runs over to Izuku and begins to cry, and she's like, baby, please don't ever disappear like that again. Your father, something happened to you. I don't know if I would be able to take it. Izuku, he breaks down a little bit, and he grabs his mom and comforts her. He's like, Mom, I'm not gonna go anywhere. I promise. I promise, and I won't start doing dungeons until I'm an adult. Okay? But I don't know if I want to be a true hunter. I kind of want to be a hero like All Might. Someone that saves people, regardless if they're in a dungeon, if they're in a gate or not. Ingo wipes her tears, and she's like, it's fine, baby. I know I can't stop you. You're kind. They have a bigger burden on their shoulders than anyone else. Just promise me that you'll always be safe, and if things look like it's too difficult, you would run. Please. Izuku, he smiles and he says, definitely. So they spend about an hour and a half, and Inko walks out and she starts talking to the doctors. They explain they want to keep him here for at least a month while he just to keep him under observation, because he really was hurt. Like I said, he had a punctured lung. Basically, most of the bones on the left side of his body were completely shattered, multiple fractures, multiple breaks. That first hit, Izuku barely survived this because he was, unlike Sun Jin-woo, he was a child. Sun Jin-woo, I think, was a teenager that was old. He was in his older teen years. And plus, he had already done a few dailies, so he already had the little bit more stamina and strength. And Izuku did get attacked a couple of more times while he was in there by other creatures, and he was finally able to survive. So he was transported back. So when his mom left, he just sees he sees a timer in the bottom left side of his field of vision, and he for some reason he just his vision just gets drawn directly to it, and as soon as he looks down to the left, a HUD pops up in front of his field of vision, and it says daily quest available. Reward for survival of penalty zone. And Izuku's like, what the hell? And then it says accepts a reward or not. And Izuku he pushes it, and it says replenish, health replenish active. Skill point gained 1. And then he sees another part pop up, and it has a bunch of stats. And he's not really sure what this is. He's It seems like some kind of game. So he puts a point. He's thinking, he's like, if this is my ability, I mean, I have soul sense, but that just doesn't really help with combat. So then let's put a point into strength. I need to get stronger. So he does, and then he just feels he feels his body get a little bit lighter. And then he notices that his arm's feeling a lot better, but he decides not to say anything about this to anyone for now until he can really gauge what this actually is. So Izuku, he begins to do, he notices that the daily run says, it says like 100 push-ups, 100 sit-ups, 100 body squats, and a 10-kilometer run. Or no, I believe it's 10 kilometer, but yeah, we're going to say, yeah, a 10-kilometer run. I was thinking of something completely different series. Sorry about that. I didn't actually write down like the exercises here in my notes. So he spends like this next month doing the daily quest because he didn't tell all the officers everything because he knows if he said this, he would, like, a reawakener is very rare. It causes some issues for the individuals instead. So he decided to not say everything. So they just think it was either something with it, because Izuku is of the hidden class. He just may have came into another one of his abilities being a part of this class to where he gets transported randomly to like this area. And he did say that he failed to do something. So they will keep him under observation for the month. So over the month, he's doing his daily quest, and he notices when he does the daily quest, like, he actually gets 5 points instead of just the 1. And he's been pumping, like, and I would say this is 2 weeks in, so for the past 14 days, he's been pumping it into strength, and then he has a thought after the day, and it's like, wait, I've gotten pretty strong. Maybe I should increase my stamina to help out with the run a little bit. So he puts 5 points into his dex. Or no, he puts 4 points into his dex and a point into intelligence, because he's like, because he's pretty much figured out the more he pumps into his strength, the easier these exercises have been getting. And so he puts some into dex, and then he puts 1 into intelligence, and he immediately feels the difference. He's like, he notices that he can think a little bit faster, and he notices that he's able, like, because he does stretches afterwards, like warm down stretches, and he notices that he's a lot more flexible now. So he will continue doing this for like another 2 weeks. Now, the nurses and everything that have seen him when he came in, they're like, whoa, that kid, that's hunters for you. They recover really fast. So when Izuku, he gets back to school, and everyone is just looking at this guy that just walked in. He looks like a freaking teenager walking into like a middle school. And everyone, like, he looks like a preteen walking into like elementary school. And a few of the teachers stop him, and he pulls out his ID, and they're like, oh, Midoriya, wow, you've changed a lot in the past month. So he gets to class, and kids are looking at him. They're like, who the hell is this kid? And then the teacher comes in and he sees Izuku, and the teacher has been informed that Midoriya has gone through some changes, and he locks eyes with Izuku, and he's like, "Ah, oh, Midoriya, you're finally back. You healed up okay, right?" And Izuku just says, "Yeah, teach. Had some things to work out with the Hunters Association. Apparently, I've awakened more abilities." And everyone's jaws just drop, and you just hear like explosions in the back of the class, and it's like, "Damn nerd, what the hell? Is that really you, Deku?" And Izuku just turns around and he's like, "Kachan, don't even..." He doesn't even turn around. He's like, "Kachan, don't even try to attack me. You know my ability, Soul Sense. I know you want to, like, punch me in the back of the head, so don't even try it." And everyone's just like, "What the hell?" So, over the next several years, everyone just sees Izuku. He slowly starts getting... He's getting faster, he's getting stronger, and his personality begins to, like, warp. He becomes more cold, calculated. He's nice. He's still a good guy, but how he treats Bakugo, like, there was one of the kids, and I would say this is about like, Izuku's 9 and Katsu's 10 at this time. This is like the last day before the summer break of their 10th year. And Izuku hasn't had his birthday yet. They're like, "Yeah, like, Deku, he's really changed since we were little kids. Like, also, that one time with Bakugo, he's pretty damn brutal." And they're like, "Yeah, he broke his bone without even it didn't even seem like he moved. You just saw him standing there with his arm stretched out like 2 paces over from where he was, and Katsuki was across the room. Yeah, like, avoid that kid. He's trouble." So Izuku, he gets home that day, and his mom's looking at him, and she's like, "Sweetie, what's wrong?" And he's like, "Mom, I don't want to go back to school. I still want to be a hero, but I'd rather stay at home and self-study. If that's okay with you." So, and Izuku, he's been accumulating a lot of points and stat points, but he's noticed that the past couple of years, like the first year, he was only getting 5 points, but now he's only getting like 1 point. And there was the one time where he went to the penalty zone and he didn't get any points. He was just refreshed from it because he accidentally didn't do his dailies. So he's beginning to think that maybe he needs to start, like, actually, from what he can see in his system, he needs to start actually going into gates to level up. Because he did that one time, like, a couple weeks prior to this day, he did get, like, a level. And he noticed that there was a level up bonus of 3 stat points. And so he figured that he needed to gain any more stat points, he needs to actually start doing dungeons. So his mom's like, "Are you sure are you sure that's what you want to do, baby?" Sorry. So Izuku, he says, "Yeah, Mom, like, I don't get bullied anymore, but everyone's just so stupid. And I feel that I want to start doing some minor gates." Nothing too crazy, Mom, but like maybe like an F rank here and there when like they pop up. I know I have to get in contact with the guild and all this other stuff, and I know Dad was a hunter, and like you don't want me being one, but I don't know, Mom. This just this feels like something I need to do. Okay? As he's just looking at his mom, and she just sees like the determination on her son's face, and she's like, "Baby, I don't want you to be a hunter, but if if it's only F rank dungeons, then okay, I'll let you do that. But let me call Officer Smith. He may know someone that can kind of protect you while you're in there." And Izuku kind of Becky says, "Okay, Mom, but it wouldn't be needed. I mean, I did get transported that one time, and the creatures there are weak for some reason." Izuku still hiding the fact that he has like this leveling system. So that night, Izuku he has a dream, and he sees like this figure cloaked in shadow blue blue eyes, and then they change to like an emerald color, and Izuku's like, "Whoa, who the hell are you? You know it's illegal to use your quirk in public, right?" And the figure just begins to smile and laugh, and Izuku just sees the white of this thing's teeth, and he says, "So you finally decided to start going into gates. Can't wait. But know this. I won't save you like I did last time." In Izuku, he wakes up, and it's the next morning. He's in a cold sweat. He's like, "Damn, those dreams, they're weird, but wait, it said like last time," and his eyes go wide, has all these memories of what happened, and he's like, did that thing save me? Is it the reason why I have this system now? Whatever. So Izuku he comes down to the area, and Inko like has a big breakfast like prepared for it, and Inko he sees the look on his mother's face, and Inko says, "Baby, I have great news. Officer Smith, he said that he knows of a small guild that would help you out and let you join them occasionally in like a few of their F rank dungeons. Though, here's the contact information." As she hands him a piece of paper with some stuff written down. So Izuku he takes the number, and he's looking at it, and he decides to like give a call after he's done. He's after the phone call, he just hears a loud crash like in his home. He comes in, and his mom's laying there with soup all over her and like food all over her, and she's just passed out on the ground and dishes spread everyone. He runs over and is like, "Mom, Mom, no, please, and he checks her pulse, and he's like, "Oh, thank God she has a pulse." He immediately pulls his cell phone out and calls like ambulance. They come by, they take his mom to like the hospital, and they tell him that they can't explain what is happening to her. They've never seen something like this. For all intents and purposes, she should be awake. They can't figure out what's wrong with her, but she is stable. So Izuku he begins to think, damn it. And with that, you beautiful souls, that's where I'm going to end it. Stay tuned tomorrow. The part 1 of this series should be out then. I should also be able to get a couple of more series out that I've been working on. I just haven't been able to get like good recordings like the past couple of weeks. So hopefully you've enjoyed this of what if Izuku Midoriya was a monarch. That being said, like the video because it does help spread the channel. Comment down below what you think of this series so far. And I will see you beautiful souls in the next video.